I recently turned 7 months pregnant, and I wanted to give you an update on how I transitioned into keto right before I turned 7 months. I didn't go into keto just because I wanted to go into keto to lose weight or because I wanted to be on keto. This sort of happened by accident just because I have digestion issues and I've had them this whole time with this pregnancy. It's been really bad. I vomited quite a bit. I had stomach burning. I never knew which foods were going to cause this reaction. I would just sometimes puke. My body would stop digesting whatever was in my stomach. So I decided to do an elimination diet, so to speak, and I kept in only things that I knew I never burped up. And those foods were cabbage, broccoli, and green beans, as well as meats. So I stuck to those foods for about a week. And then after that, I began to add in small amounts of ingredients just to make sure I wouldn't have any reaction to them. And that went all the way down to my spices. And by the time I knew, I was eating foods that were completely keto. I was having lots of fats, very few carbs. And I tried to have some veggies with every meal, and also just some meals that were high in protein with mayo and vegetables. But like I said, I was trying to keep my ingredients minimal so I can figure out what ingredients were bothering me. And I'm still not at a place where I completely know, but I do know that if I have too many carbs, that the burning sensation in my stomach comes back. I feel fatigued and I don't do as well digesting and functioning. My mental clarity isn't as good. I was suffering from brain fog, fatigue, poor digestion, and like I said, the burning in the stomach, irregular bowel movements. I never knew which way I was going to be constipated or kind of on the other end. I did do some research into going into keto while pregnant, and there are many doctors, many professionals who recommend that you don't do keto while you're pregnant. However, you do have some medical professionals on the other side of the spectrum who believe doing keto while you're pregnant is a really good choice. And the experts who disagree with it cite a study done on mice that their offspring were smaller, they were had mental delays and just not what they wanted to see. But on the other side, where you have the medical professionals who believe keto is okay, especially when you're suffering from like hyperemesis gravidarum or diabetes, or you're just not doing really good while pregnant, they see nothing wrong with you going into keto, and they say, you know, humans are not the same as mice. So to comparison, that area just doesn't do it. Then I also read that on the medical professional side, where they disagree with it, they will say that there haven't been any studies done because they don't like to do studies on pregnant women. And so they use the mice study to get their results, but then they also completely speculate and assume that while the baby is in the womb that the baby functions on carbs. But unless a woman has been studied while she is pregnant as well as the fetus, there's absolutely no way to say that. And then so you have this other side where they're pro keto and they're saying babies don't function on carbs when they're in the womb. Well, it's very interesting to read both sides, but I have followed a few people for a while who have had babies while doing keto and have continued to nurse on keto that seem to do really well. I'm hoping to continue keto even after I have the baby and to be able to nurse on keto. Transitioning from eating, I was already kind of low glycemic and very clean diet. So when I transitioned over to keto, it wasn't that big of a deal. I did suffer a bit of fatigue as well as mild headaches, but they only lasted for about 2 or 3 days, and then that was it. I assume if you're coming from the American diet going into keto while you're pregnant, you're gonna have a hard time, just because your body's going to be getting rid of and letting go of a lot of other foods and ingredients that you've been putting into it, a lot more sugars. So that wasn't a big struggle for me to go from the way I was eating to the way I'm eating right now. It's hard right now because of the season we're in. We're in December and we're in the holidays, and people have a bunch of sweet treats here and there. Because I know the effects that these foods will have on me, it's a little bit easier to stay away from them. and I'm not as tempted. I'm not gonna lie though, I do miss my sweet potatoes, and maybe I will have a few after I have a baby to build up milk supply. We'll see what happens there. There are a few other foods that I am consuming at the moment. I am having matcha tea. I make a smoothie with 1 teaspoon of matcha with some almond milk as well as heavy whipping cream. And I use stevia to sweeten it, and it is so good, really good. But I'm trying to keep my ingredients minimal because I don't know what is gonna cause a reaction. So when I introduce a food, I introduce it one day and I'll wait a couple of days to 3 days. And after that, I will try and add something else in. But I am 7 months pregnant right now, and I will give y'all a shot of my belly. It's not very big. My weight gain right now, as of today, from when I started at 142. I did carnivore, and for some reason I gained 6 pounds. And since getting pregnant, I now weigh 156. And so that's only a 14-pound gain. I still have time to gain more weight, and I don't look forward to that, honestly. But I'm super hopeful that once I have the baby, that by doing keto, I'll be able to drop some of the weight, because normally when I have a baby and I'm nursing, I do not lose any weight. I retain it all for the entire year that I nurse, and then it's not till I stop nursing that I'm able to shed a few pounds. I'm curious to know if any of y'all have done keto while you're pregnant, and if you have, would you leave some of the information and things you've learned while doing keto, while being pregnant, as well as while nursing? I am very interested and curious about how women maintain their milk supply. Did you start out adding more carbs in right after you had the baby to build up your milk supply, or did you just continue straight keto with the high fat, and that was sufficient enough for you to be able to produce enough milk to feed your baby and for them to be satisfied and nice and chunky? I did buy some keto test strips that I ordered on Amazon, and they should be here in a couple of days, and I'm going to be testing to see if I am in ketosis or not. I went to the OB today, and they told me that everything looked fine in my urine, so I'm assuming they didn't test for ketones. Probably just bacteria to make sure you don't have a UTI. We heard the baby's heartbeat, 140 heartbeats a minute, and so that was fine. And then we also measured, but I do measure a little small, but that's typical with my pregnancies. It's not something that concerns me, and the midwife didn't seem too concerned either. And I know I mentioned last time when I was talking about my 6-month pregnancy update that I still wasn't sure whether I wanted to continue with a hospital birth versus a home birth or use a birthing center. I'm still up in the air, I don't know, but eventually we'll know what I choose. Now I'll show y'all my belly. All right, this is my belly. I don't look too big, like I said, but it is quite typical. By the time I'm done being pregnant, I'll probably only be about up to right here. Now I do gain most of my weight right here. This is my fat zone, I guess we'll call it. When I gain weight and I'm done having the baby, my hips will be bigger as well as my back, and that is just how my body gains weight. But so far I am in large maternity clothes, and I have room to grow, thankfully, so I'm hoping to never reach extra large. I want to stay in the large. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this information that I shared with y'all today is helpful to someone else who's maybe considering going into keto while they're pregnant. If you're having any issues similar to mine, or you're just having issues that you feel like could be resolved through keto, I hope this encourages you to give it a try, or just to figure out what works for you, because what works for one person doesn't always work for everybody else. So it's worth it to try different things to be able to find what works for you. And this is just what I found that is working for me right now. I've honestly tried keto before, but I had never been able to stick to it because I just didn't have any strong desire to. But now with these health issues and everything that I have going on, I have a strong desire, and I have a strong desire to be healthy, to be able to deliver a healthy baby. One thing I did read about, that since so many medical professionals are against keto, that when you tell them how you're eating, not to say you're doing keto, but just to tell them you're not eating carb dense food, that you're eating high protein and fat as well as vegetables, and leave it at that. But not to mention keto, that way you don't face any opposition as well as discouragement during your pregnancy, especially if you find a medical professional who does not want you to go that route. And like I said, if you're looking for something that works for you, don't let all the naysayers for everything you're trying get in your way, because some people veganism works, some people the carnivore diet works, some people keto works, some people Trim Healthy Mama works. I mean, you never know what's gonna work for your body and what's gonna be right for you until you try it and get to that place where you see like, okay, this is good for me. And so I wanna encourage you, like I said, to find what's right for you and push forward with it. All right guys, thanks for watching my video. I hope this was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment if you have anything else to share to add to this, and subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.